But
Okay.
before I take the question, I just wanted to sort of ask you, we were talking about, the communist government's response to the protests and stuff like that, and what how great an example the Hindus of Kerala have set for the rest of the Hindus in the rest of India. And I wanted to talk to you and sort of get your thoughts on the way forward. What do you see? Number one, what lessons can we learn from the way people have organized around Shabrimala? And secondly, what do you see as a way forward for people that want to achieve, tangible results for Hindus on the ground?
One is this really shows the power of people.
Yes.
Because if the entire Hindus cutting across the all other divisions come together for a cause, that will be heard. If Hindus' cause is not being heard by, I mean, that will be heard means here now, then people may be thinking like, oh, the court didn't give you a favorable verdict. But then the given the situations of the Indian state, this is only a beginning. So we cannot completely say that, yeah, that will, cannot completely dismiss off what I said. That, see, this clearly the narrative have changed, except for the very vested, in the quarters with very much, too much of vested interest. So that change in narrative, and also when the entire community come forward together, that really have a strength. And then you can see in Kerala, Congress and BJP both are in support of the devotees. They are so because uh, they have to. Because if they don't, if they completely ignore the Hindus, the entire people ignore the Hindus, then there is no competition.
Yes.
Because these are also voters. Anyway, communists are on the other side. Then now, if you please this much of a people, then there will be clearly results. So I think the Hindus also have to realize this factor, that when we really have a bargaining power, then our needs can be fulfilled. We might be heard better.
Yeah.
One. And the second thing is that for people who work on ground and all, see that we need to really combine the way of, we need to understand the value of narrative building. And on ground, we really need to, get more and more people with us. Just being on ground alone cannot help. It has to be, the people in power have to know that this is happening on the ground. So for that, there have to be a collective effort. We cannot completely dismiss of one aspect, the ground for the elite aspect or the narrative building process. Both has to work together.
Right.
And I think for
Sorry, go
Shani
ahead.
temple and all, if there was a real popular protest, the narrative would not have been different. And then the result would have been different.
True, because I think it's such an interesting idea. I think it's such a good idea that has happened here. I think it's been an amalgamation of so many great things. And one of the important things, in my opinion, that has come out from it is, well, of course, the level of organization that has been shown by the Hindus of Kerala, number one. And secondly, I feel like the fact that people have actually, gone to a place where changes can happen. For example, they've gone to the court. They've actually started fighting these cases in the courts where changes can really happen. They've actually started approaching the government to, file ordinances. Now that may happen, that may not happen. That's a different thing. The important thing is that people have started to take these steps where tangible changes happen. It's important to make your voices heard on social media. That's a very important thing. I'm not undermining that at all. But I think it's important to also for Hindus to start taking that next step.
Yes.
Start approaching courts and start going to governments where real change happens, right?
The lobbying in all
Lobbying.
aspect is needed. That for we cannot just put all our responsibility or all our wants, assign somebody or uh, outsource our work to somebody and sit idle and expect them to do that. That may not happen. So if we need something, we have to work, and when we work, we have to work the way it we can produce results. So we may have to approach the political power circle. We may have to approach the judiciary, or where the fight is needed. They're all we might have to work on. And for that, I think what we did, one good thing from our part, what we had done is that once this Ready to Wait as a social media campaign, it got some momentum. We really formed a institution named People for Dharma, an NGO, and then using with People for Dharma, we went to the court. So we just didn't restrict ourselves to the social media and sat there and keep repeating what we have been telling. But the momentum we got this, that we used as a backup to go to the court and tell what we need, because that is where the real fight was happening. How much we try to convince Arnab Goswami, that won't help as long as our voice is not heard in the court. When our voice is heard in the court, we got at least one judge listened to us and gave a verdict which acknowledged what our lawyer had told. So that is there in the record already. Now we have this option of going for review petition. If none of the from the devotee side have not gone for the court, have gone for court, then there would have been kind of now in the situation like this, the UDF government, the government, after when this LDF government, UDF government went and this LDF government came, the government changed their stand.
Right.
So government is actually the ones whom we expect to be the ones who are voicing the opinion of the people. But they didn't voice the people's opinion. Then there had to be somebody else to represent the people. So if we were not there, or if NSS was not there, if the other intervention petitioners were not there, then the possibility of somebody going to for the review also was less, because government, considering the Devasam board, is also not going for review now.
Yes.
So I think, and we made this People for Dharma. People for Dharma is there. Sabarimala is one fight, but we can actually take up more fights.
True.
So the people who, when we want to do something, we might have to think about making something solid so that we can sustain our fight. Because otherwise, when some wind comes, it may go, and then maybe we may not be able to survive. We may not be able to, withstand the pressures. Like the police arrested a lot of people. Somebody has to, if there is no institutions for Hindu, no people, no organizations for Hindus, then it is difficult for those people to get somebody to go around and work for those people to get bail. And so there are a lot of organizations already. I'm telling that the more, the better.
Yeah.
Because I think we have to learn from the Jews. This is really a clash of civilization, and this is a fight for survival. So more than survival and existence. So we need to adopt a bit from the Jews.
True. I think that's a very good point. I think that's a very good point. The point about organizing, and the point about actually going and lobbying in places where changes can be made. If there's one lesson that we need to learn from it, I think it really should be that there need to be more organization like that, like these, that need to come up. There needs to be more support to organizations like People for Dharma to fight these cases, and as much support that can be given, I think is better. So let me take a couple of questions before we wrap up from the audience as well. So one of these questions comes from Patreon. It's a Patreon question from Roshan Raj. He says that being a Twitter follower of Anjali for the past 3 years or so, I've seen some genuine concerns, in her for Indian heritage and Indian civilization. So I want to know from her, what does she think is the way forward in the leftist sort of dominated Kerala, and how can Hindus start to assert themselves better in within this leftist domination?
Hindus are already started
Right.
asserting. And then how it will reciprocate or how we can see further I think we have to wait, because we can see that we might be seeing that in the election process, and yeah, I think the rest will trickle down. It will have what understanding realizations which Hindus of Kerala got in the past couple of weeks and months. I think that all will be having a trickling effect in every aspect of their behavior.
One of the questions, one of the questions being asked is the Devaswam board, the director of the Devaswam board, is it appointed by the government?
Yeah, the president of the Devaswam board is a political nominee.
Is a political appointee, and is there an? I think the question was: is there an attempt to maybe have the government relinquish the Devaswam board so the Devaswam board can run itself?
I mean, government, I don't think that will happen from the side of the government or the politicians, because power is what everybody likes. But ideally, these political interventions is not legal, because the covenant signed between the royals of the Travancore and Cochin Kingdom with the Indian Union, when they merged with India, it clearly asks to ensure that the temples are maintained how it was maintained by the Hindu kingdom of Travancore and Cochin. And if the government is not allowing the Devaswam board to function the way it should be, because Devaswam board is not the owner of the temples, they are just caretakers of the temple.
Yes.
So the caretakers, if they are not behaving the way they has to, then legally it is not right. So there have to be that kind of legal actions to remind them that, see, your job is not to act as if you are the priest or you are the gods. The gods and priests and the Uralar are there already. So that I think the politicians, when the Communist Party's agenda become the Devaswam board's agenda, that is against the covenant, against the Indian Constitution. So that has to be questioned.
Right.
And I think there is one case by Dr. Swami in the Supreme Court, which is on this regard. And then Indi Collective is also has given a case about the payments. The government has to give to the Devaswam board. There is a lot of annuity amount which the government has lapsed. The government took over a lot of land from the temples during land reforms. And almost thousands of crores of money is not being paid, which actually had to be paid.
Wow.
So government haven't done justice to government haven't kept their word, which they had to pay to the temples and the Devaswam boards. So the Indi Collective has taken up a case regarding that. So there are, I think, more is there to come in this regard about questioning about reminding the Devaswam board how to behave, how they have to follow what is their responsibility and duty. They are not the puppet of the political party which rule the which constitute the government. Devasam board is an autonomous body. So that that is the duty of the people to ensure that
Yes.
the Devasam board is behaving as how they should be.
Yes.
And so we can wait for whatever is going to happen.
Okay, and let me take one final question, which is which could be a very good last word as well, kind of. The question was, I believe, oh, it's just gotten lost, but I think the question was, you were talking about earlier about Hindus learning from the Jews, and what lessons, if you were to give, 2 or 3 lessons that Hindus should imbibe from the Jews, what would you say those would be?
One is building. I think some efforts have been slowly started by the Hindus themselves, like World Hindu Economic Forum, for example. We just not, this Hindu philosophy or the scriptures alone don't constitute what is Hinduism.
Yes.
And Hindus as a community, Hinduism in Indics as a civilization, if we need to survive, we need to understand that economy, politics, culture, every aspect of the society, the science, everywhere, we had our contribution as a civilization, and we need to work on it to, with that perspective that we have to, we should not completely tie ourselves into this, for example, if I say this, in India, the state is secular. Ideally, the state should be secular, and the people normally what their religion is or what their culture is, they live that. But here, what is happening is that the Hindus remain secular in their individual.
Yeah.
Then there is no point in we lamenting about we have been left behind and we are we are becoming a dying civilization. We want, if we understand the importance of acknowledging our past, acknowledging our legacy, and living with being true to the civilization which we belong to, not just in the spiritual and religious part, but in the cultural aspect too. That is one thing which Jews really have accomplished, that they really is aware of that. And and another thing is this, like that is how they became whatever the power is, they have their share in every power centers.
Yes.
So if you want to become a Vishwaguru, I mean, Vishwaguru Bharat can be possible only if we have our say in every corners of power. One example I can say, since I'm in Germany, I can say one thing is that here there is here in Germany, various people from various countries are living here as expats, and now more immigrants are coming. But when it comes about the rights of the immigrants and how the multiculturalism and all what now the West is into, the narrative is all about the 3 Abrahamic religions. And Buddhism, somehow there is some part in the story. But Hindus don't have, because when Hindus here, they just come here, they do their job, they live their life, they go back, they pay tax, they follow all the rules, they live like they are very nice and true and everything, and they just go. But no one sees.
Yeah.
No one see them because they are not showing themselves.
Yep.
Then if some kind of, if some kind of a policy making or something is happening here with respect to the migrants, then there may not be anyone to talk for Hindus, or there may not be anyone who will be acknowledging that this kind of particular population also is there. So if it only Hindus will do that, nobody else will come and do that for Hindus.
Yeah, I think that's very true.
About India, because Hindus are spread across the globe. So wherever the Hindus are, they have to identify this fact. And then it is not about just India. Like here there is a big community of Hindus from Afghanistan. Have been living in Afghanistan for around 1,000 years. Means they are not some Hindus went to, left back during, went to there for some business in Afghanistan, and when Taliban came, they had to fly away. No, they are real Afghanis. And I happen to see them because there is a mandir here, Asamai Mada temple, which is Asamai Devi is there, Kabul's Devi.
Oh, wow.
So this group of Hindus, these Afghanistani Hindus, they are around 700 families here, and many came as refugees. So many have refugee visa. So if we only thinking about India, we don't have to think about these Afghani Hindus. But this Afghani, lot of old people there, they really want to, for at least once before dying, they want to see Ganga Ma. And there are people who really want their ashes to be, all the rituals to be done in Ganga. They used to do that. But since they are in refugee visa here, now they don't get Indian visa to India.
Wow.
So since they are refugees, the government of India don't allow visa for them. So those who have in German citizenship, they can. But they are only some younger generation who born here or anything. But the older people, it really pains for them because of this kind of a dilemma or a fate they have. They have a really big mandir here. They are a very flourishing population here. None of them are poor. They all have, although they came as refugees or anything, they have good education. They are very good in business because they are a business community from generations.
Oh, wow.
So they are good in business. They all are rich people. They have money. And their mandir is really awesome. That they have a Pandit from Madura, in this UP Madura.
Oh, Mathura, okay.
Pandit. And they have, every time they give this pravachan and everything is fine. But they are Afghanistanis. They are not Indian. So they are unable to go to India and do their rituals. But as a Hindu, when we look as a Hindu, we can understand their pain.
Yes.
Because they really a Hindu's life, I mean, they really want to do their rituals in Ganga. That is what is it's a genuine reason. So yeah, I think Guruji Sisri Ravishankar and all has taken up the cause to reach out to the government of India and all. But this kind of small, we may think it is very small, but it is actually, with respect to the Hindus, it is very, very important aspects, which I think everybody in NRIs and people in India should recognize that, and we need to understand that when a Hindu in Malda is getting, or a Hindu in Uttar Pradesh is having any problem, that is the problem of a Hindu.
Yes.
Hindu in Kerala is suffering. That is problem of every Hindus. So everybody, when we realize that kind of, I think Jews have that feeling.
They have that, yeah.
And that is what helps them in surviving.
Definitely, I agree. And I think these are very good lessons as well. These are very good lessons for the Hindu community in general to remember that, you need to start having a say in prominent organizations in every aspect of sort of Indian life and internationally as well. You need to start organizing so that you have a say, and you need to start lobbying, and you need to start approaching centers where tangible changes actually happen. So I think these are very good lessons for us to remember and to take away, very good takeaways from the Sabarimala issue as well, I believe.